if I told you that your relentless pursuit of happiness is actually the very thing keeping you miserable? What if a 5,000-year-old tradition had already figured out what Silicon Valley life coaches and self-help gurus are still struggling with? Today, we're diving into the Hindu perspective on happiness. And it's going to challenge everything you think you know about desire, success, and what it means to live well. Whether you're someone who meditates daily or someone who thinks spirituality is just expensive candles and wishful thinking, this ancient wisdom has something profound to offer your modern life. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, great, another video telling me to just be grateful and think positive thoughts. But stick with me, because what we're exploring today isn't feel-good fluff. It's a radical re-examination of the very foundations of how we approach life. And even if you're not particularly introspective, even if you're just here for practical insights you can use tomorrow, this perspective might just explain why you feel restless, even when everything's going well. Chapter 1. The Great Deception. Let me start with a question that might sting a little. How's that happiness pursuit working out for you? I'm serious. Think about it. We live in the most prosperous time in human history. We have more opportunities, more choices, more ways to entertain ourselves than any generation before us. We have apps designed to make us happy, life coaches teaching us to optimize our joy, and entire industries built around helping us feel fulfilled. So why are anxiety and depression rates skyrocketing? Why do we feel more restless, more dissatisfied, more like something's missing than ever before? The answer, according to Hindu philosophy, is that we've been sold a fundamental lie about what happiness actually is and how to find it. The Western happiness formula. Here's how we've been taught to think about happiness. Achievement plus acquisition plus approval equals fulfillment. Get the promotion, buy the house, earn the likes, win the approval, and you'll be happy. It's the formula that drives everything from our education system to our social media algorithms. But there's a problem with this formula. It works, just not the way we think it does. Ever notice how that promotion you work toward for months gives you maybe a week of satisfaction before you're stressed about the next level? How that new relationship that was supposed to complete you somehow leaves you feeling just as incomplete, just with different anxieties? How that vacation you saved for and planned gives you a few days of bliss, followed by the Sunday blues that hit twice as hard. This isn't a bug in the system. It's a feature. It's what psychologists call the hedonic treadmill, but Hindu philosophy identified this pattern thousands of years ago and gave it a name: samsara. Samsara isn't just the cycle of reincarnation you might have heard about. It's the cycle we live every single day. It's the endless loop of desire, temporary satisfaction, then new desire. Want, get, want more. Achieve, feel good, need bigger achievement. It's the hamster wheel of human experience. And here's the cruel irony. The better you get at this game, the more trapped you become. The more successful you are at achieving your desires, the more elaborate your desires become. You upgrade from wanting a nice car to wanting a luxury car to wanting the latest luxury car to wanting people to notice your luxury car. Think about your own life for a moment. What did you want 5 years ago that you now have? How long did getting it actually satisfy you? And what did you start wanting next? This is what Hinduism calls the Great Deception, the belief that happiness is something you can acquire, achieve, or accumulate. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. You can keep pouring water in, but you'll never fill it up. The Instagram illusion. What about social media? Social media has turned this deception into an art form. We craft these perfect highlight reels, and then we scroll through other people's highlight reels feeling inadequate. We're literally programming ourselves to be dissatisfied by constantly comparing our behind the scenes to everyone else's final cut. But even if you delete all social media tomorrow, the deeper pattern remains. Because the problem isn't Instagram. Instagram is just a symptom. The problem is that we've been taught to look for fulfillment in experiences, achievements, and acquisitions that are, by their very nature, temporary. Here's what makes this trap so insidious. It's not entirely wrong. Achieving goals does feel good. Getting what you want does bring pleasure. The problem is that we mistake temporary pleasure for lasting fulfillment, and we mistake the feeling of progress for the feeling of arrival. It's like mistaking the appetizer for the main course. The appetizer is good, but if you keep eating appetizers expecting to feel satisfied, you're going to end up frustrated and still hungry. And this is where Hinduism offers something revolutionary. Instead of telling you to lower your expectations or accept less from life, it shows you how to want more, but in a completely different way. So here's the question that's going to guide everything we explore in this series. What if the problem isn't that you're not getting what you want, but that you don't understand what you actually want? What if underneath all your specific desires for success, love, recognition, security, there's something deeper you're really seeking? And what if that deeper thing is actually available to you right now, regardless of your circumstances? This isn't about becoming passive or giving up on your goals. It's about understanding the difference between using your desires and being used by them. It's about discovering a source of fulfillment that doesn't depend on constantly acquiring more. Chapter 2. Dharma, your authentic path. So we've established that chasing happiness through external means is like trying to catch your own shadow. The faster you run, the more elusive it becomes. But here's where Hindu wisdom gets brilliant. They don't just diagnose the problem, they prescribe the cure. And it starts with a concept that's been mistranslated and misunderstood for centuries. Dharma. If you've heard of Dharma before, you probably think it means duty or following religious rules or some kind of cosmic obligation handed down from on high. Forget all of that. That's like saying love means following a relationship manual. Dharma comes from the Sanskrit root dhr, which means to uphold or to support. Your Dharma is quite literally what upholds your life, not what you're supposed to do, but what you're authentically called to do. It's not a burden imposed on you. It's the path that emerges from your deepest nature. Think of a time when you felt most like yourself. Not when you were performing for others, not when you were trying to impress someone, not when you were following the script you thought you should follow, but when you felt that rare sensation of everything clicking into place, when what you were doing felt effortless and right and true. That feeling, that's Dharma calling. The 4 layers. Hindu philosophy recognizes that Dharma operates on 4 levels, and understanding these can revolutionize how you approach every decision in your life. First, there's Svadharma, your personal, individual Dharma. This is your unique, authentic nature, your specific gifts and calling. It's why some people are natural teachers, while others are natural healers, why some thrive in leadership, while others flourish in service. Your Svadharma isn't what you want to be good at. It's what you actually are good at when you're being most authentically yourself. Second is your social Dharma, how your unique gifts contribute to the larger community. This isn't about conforming to society's expectations, but about understanding how your authentic nature serves something bigger than yourself. Third is universal Dharma, the basic principles that support all life. Non-harm, truthfulness, compassion. These aren't arbitrary rules, but natural laws that create harmony. And fourth is cosmic Dharma, aligning with the larger patterns and purposes of existence itself. Think of Dharma like a river. Your Svadharma is your unique current, but you're still flowing within the banks of universal principles toward the ocean of cosmic purpose. You're not fighting against the river. You're discovering how to swim with it most powerfully. Now, this might sound similar to Western advice about following your passion, but there's a crucial difference that can save you years of frustration. Follow your passion often means do what excites you or pursue what you love. But passions can be fleeting, superficial, or even destructive. I might be passionate about video games, but that doesn't mean my Dharma is to become a professional gamer. Dharma considers three things that passion alone doesn't. What are you naturally good at? What does the world actually need? And what can you do with a sense of service rather than just self-gratification? Let me give you an example. You might say, I'm passionate about music, so I should be a musician. But Dharma asks deeper questions. Do you have a natural gift for creating harmony? Do you bring healing or joy through sound? Does making music feel like service or just self-expression? Can you sustain this path through difficulties because it feeds your soul, not just your ego? See the difference? Passion often burns hot and burns out. Dharma burns steady and burns deeper over time. This might remind you of existentialist ideas about authentic living. Sartre famously said, we're condemned to be free, forced to choose our own meaning without cosmic guidebooks. But Hinduism suggests something more hopeful. We're not condemned, we're liberated. And we do have a guidebook. It's written in our deepest nature. The difference between choosing freely and choosing wisely is Dharma. Living Dharma in modern life. So what does this look like practically? How do you find and follow your Dharma while paying rent and dealing with family expectations and navigating a world that often rewards conformity over authenticity? Here's where it gets beautifully practical. Start by noticing the difference between what energizes you and what drains you. Not what's fun versus boring, what feels aligned versus forced. When do you feel most like yourself? What activities make you lose track of time, not because they're entertaining, but because they feel meaningful? What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail and nobody was watching? Notice I'm not asking what you want to do, but what wants to be done through you. That's a dharmic question. Maybe you're in a job that doesn't align with your Dharma right now. That's okay. Dharma isn't about making dramatic life changes overnight. It's about bringing your authentic nature to whatever you're doing. Can you do your current work with more truth, more service, more alignment with your deeper values? Sometimes Dharma means changing your external circumstances. But more often, it means changing your internal relationship to your circumstances. The paradox of authentic living. Here's what's fascinating. When you start living Dharma, you often end up more successful in conventional terms, not less. But the success feels different. It feels sustainable. It feels like expression rather than achievement. You stop trying to be impressive and start being expressive. You stop performing and start contributing. And paradoxically, this makes you more attractive to opportunities, relationships, and experiences that actually fulfill you. Because here's the thing, when you're operating from Dharma, you're not competing with anyone else. You're occupying your unique space in the cosmic order. There's no scarcity because there's no one else who can do exactly what you're here to do, exactly the way you're here to do it. If you're finding these ideas thought-provoking, consider subscribing. That way you won't just stumble across the next part of this journey. You'll be here when it arrives. This channel is about more than information. It's about slowing down, questioning, and seeing life differently. Now let me ask you this. If you knew you were already enough, exactly as you are, what would you choose to do with your life? Not what would make you feel worthy or successful or loved, but what would you choose to contribute? What would want to flow through you into the world? But Dharma isn't just about finding yourself. It's about understanding what you're actually seeking in life. Hinduism maps this out through what they call the Four Purusharthas, the four universal human goals. And spoiler alert, happiness isn't one of them, but what they offer instead might just change how you approach everything. Chapter 3. The Four Purusharthas. So you've started to glimpse what Dharma feels like, that sense of authentic alignment, of swimming with your nature instead of against it. But Dharma isn't just about finding yourself. It's about understanding what you're actually seeking in life. And this is where Hinduism gets brilliantly practical. Instead of telling you to transcend all desires or pretend you don't want things, it maps out exactly what human beings are naturally drawn toward. They call these the Four Purusharthas, the four universal human goals. And yes, before you roll your eyes, I know another list of 4 things. But stick with me, because this framework is going to explain why you feel pulled in different directions and why most self-help advice fails. Here's what we're told in the West. Pick a lane. Find your passion. Money can't buy happiness. Follow your heart, not your wallet. Relationships are everything. Success is everything. But what if that's the problem? What if you're not confused or scattered or lacking focus? What if you're just human? Here's a harsh truth. You've been made to feel broken for wanting multiple things. But you're not broken, you're just complete. The 4 universal human goals. Hindu philosophy says every human being naturally seeks 4 things, and trying to suppress 3 of them to focus on one is like trying to sit on a one-legged stool. First, Artha, security and prosperity. This isn't just money. It's the foundation that allows everything else to flourish. It's resources, stability, the ability to take care of yourself and those you love. And despite what spiritual bypassing tells you, there's nothing unenlightened about wanting this. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt genuinely generous when you were worried about money? When did you last feel spiritually open when you were stressed about survival? Exactly. Second, karma, pleasure and emotional fulfillment. This includes love, beauty, sensory enjoyment, aesthetic experience, emotional connection. It's not just physical pleasure. It's the full spectrum of what makes life rich and beautiful. And no, wanting to feel good isn't shallow. Humans are emotional, sensual, relational beings. Trying to transcend this is like trying to transcend having a body while you're still in one. Third, Dharma. We've already explored this one. Your authentic purpose, righteous living, ethical contribution, the path that honors both your unique nature and the larger good. Fourth, Moksha, liberation, transcendence, ultimate freedom. This isn't about escaping life, but about being free within life. Free from the anxiety that comes with attachment. Free from the prison of constantly needing more. Now here's what's revolutionary about this framework. Notice something. Hinduism doesn't say desires are bad. It says they're incomplete. Your career ambitions? Valid. Your need for love and beauty? Valid. Your spiritual longings? Valid. But trying to get all 4 from one source is like expecting your romantic partner to also be your business partner, your spiritual teacher, and your financial advisor. Short truth. You're not asking too much from life. You're asking too much from individual pieces of life. This is why successful people often feel empty. They've mastered Artha, but neglected the other three. It's why some spiritual people struggle with practical life. They've focused on Moksha while ignoring Artha. It's why some people in great relationships still feel unfulfilled. Love alone can't meet all four human needs. Our culture has convinced you that wanting security makes you shallow, wanting pleasure makes you selfish, wanting purpose makes you naive, and wanting freedom makes you irresponsible. But what if you stopped apologizing for being human? What if instead of trying to shrink yourself to fit someone else's definition of enlightenment or success, you honored the full spectrum of what you naturally seek? Here's the beautiful thing about understanding the Four Purusharthas. It stops you from putting unrealistic pressure on any one area of your life. Your job doesn't have to be your passion if it provides good Artha and allows space for Dharma elsewhere. Your spiritual practice doesn't have to solve your money problems. Your relationship doesn't have to complete you if you're finding fulfillment through Dharma and Moksha too. It's about building a four-legged table instead of hoping one really strong leg will somehow keep everything balanced. So here's a question that might sting. Which of these four areas are you neglecting, and what is that costing you? Are you so focused on security that you've forgotten what brings you joy? So focused on pleasure that you've avoided deeper purpose? So focused on purpose that you're struggling with basic stability? So focused on spiritual seeking that you're not fully engaging with life? Most of us are strong in one or two areas and pretending the others don't matter. But they do matter. And your soul knows it, which is why you feel restless, even when things are going well in your strong areas. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds great in theory, but how do you actually pursue multiple goals without feeling scattered? How do you want things without becoming desperate for them? How do you engage with all four Purusharthas without getting trapped by them? And that brings us to the heart of why we suffer, and more importantly, how to stop. We'll explore this in the next episode. Thanks for staying with it this far. That means you're serious about making the change. But here's what's fascinating. Whether you're chasing security, pleasure, purpose, or freedom, there's one thing that turns every single pursuit into suffering. And it's so subtle, so automatic, that most people never even notice they're doing it. But once you see it, you can't unsee it.